Hello, everyone, and there's something we have to discuss. Yes, it is Ethereum consensus suing the SEC, and they're suing SEC for maybe the SEC hasn't even sued Ethereum yet, but Ethereum took the initiative this time. They're bringing the fight to the SEC, and this could be a huge, huge problem for Gary Ginsler and co because Ethereum knows a lot of dirty stuff about the SEC. Maybe even better than Gary Ginsler knows. And this is why. Remember all that stuff about like Ethereum Gate and stuff? That didn't happen under Gary Ginsler. That happened under Jay Clayton and the previous administration. So, Ethereum, Joe Lubin, Vitalik Buterin, they know all the details. They were there. While Gary Ginsler, he was not there at that time because he was still at MIT saying how awesome crypto was at that time. But he completely changed his tune. And because they're getting really, really desperate on their legal cases, and they realize that if they don't sue Ethereum, they can't win any of their other crypto cases, and they have no chance at an appeal at the Ripple case, they're basically being forced to say that Ethereum is a security. But that has a lot of problems and implications because you've been saying for the last 6 years that Ethereum wasn't a commodity. And I think we can tell that they don't really want to anger Consensus or Ethereum because they've been tiptoeing around this. They've been doing everything they can except saying that Ethereum is a security. Because if they say Ethereum is a security, then all hell will break loose, folks. All hell will break loose if they say Ethereum is a security. And what I mean by that is like the Ethereum Foundation consensus could actually opt to go the scorched earth policy because they have all the receipts. They know the corruption that went on with Hinman and Clayton, and they can bring all of that out, those secret handshake deals out. Because if you're going to try to take us down, then we're going to bring you down with us. And that might be why it's such a headache for the SEC, because they know the other side has all the receipts, and if things go afoul, they could actually fight it via scorched earth policy. Now, all of us, of course, are assuming that there was corruption between the SEC, Jay Clayton, Hinman, and Ethereum. We don't know that for sure, but the way that they've been acting, how much the SEC tries to block emails and information, it really honestly seems like that is indeed the case. So let's actually look at that. Let's actually look at that again and realize how much of a pain in the ass this can be for Gary Ginsler and the SEC. Because a lot of their stuff could actually be unveiled. They have to be very, very careful and handle this diplomatically. And Gary Ginsler has not been very good at diplomacy, angering everyone in the process. The thing is, they've kind of trapped themselves by like saying that Ethereum is not a security when Ethereum actually did have an ICO, and they didn't really sue anyone in Ethereum, and they were actively working with Consensus. And they realized that they're like, oh, Ethereum is decentralized enough argument isn't really working, especially because sometime during the case they said how decentralized a project is has nothing to do with if it is or not a security. And the trouble was brought to light by the Ripple case, and everyone else is catching on, folks. Everyone else realizes that we can actually use this against the SEC in our cases. Now, they can score a couple of wins against low-hanging fruit like Do Kwon, but against well-funded projects that can indeed defend themselves, they cannot win. They haven't won against Coinbase, they haven't won against Binance, and in fact, a couple of weeks ago, if you guys remember, that class action lawsuit against Coinbase where a bunch of investors, maybe prompted by the SEC, sued Coinbase for selling unregistered securities, that one actually got dismissed. So the SEC is definitely batting a 0 for 1 there. And they're afraid that that's how it's going to rule for the rest of everything else too. So they're trying to bring out everything in the kitchen sink. Well, it's not working. Consensus is not having it. And they actually do have a lot of the receipts between the chats. So this is a big, big headache for Gary Ginsler, because if he doesn't handle this right, all that stuff might actually become exposed and people will see the SEC for what it has been in terms of crypto for the last 5 or 6 years. And that is not something that Mr. Ginsler is actually interested in. Because I bet he knows a lot of the details being the current commissioner, and a lot of the past commissioner stuff was passed on to him. And of course, this would actually make the SEC lose all face and all credibility, not only for crypto companies, so they don't have much face or credibility with crypto companies, but with judges as well. Remember, 2 SEC judges recently got sanctioned in the debt box case. And if all this stuff comes out, I think a lot more SEC lawyers and maybe even SEC officials will be up at the stand, and they'll be sanctioned as well. Gary Ginsler also might get fired because there are already several people in Congress on both sides of the aisle that are basically gunning for his neck at this point, especially the pro-crypto people. So he's got a lot of enemies in Congress. Yes, he's got allies like Elizabeth Warren, Brad Sherman, and co., but he's got a lot of enemies in Congress as well. And the pro-crypto faction in Congress is actually growing stronger and stronger. So he's got a lot of issues right now with actually what he's doing right now and the way this is turning out. And he does not want this to get big, but he also doesn't have much of a choice whether it gets big or not, because if he doesn't let it get big, then he might actually just have to give up his crusade against crypto. And Elizabeth Warren and other people that are supporting him may not let him do that. So he is in a very, very bad spot right now. And Ethereum knows that they have a lot of leeway with Gary Ginsler. I think that's why they took the initiative to sue Gary Ginsler first, and they did not wait for Gary Ginsler to make the first move, but they made it first. And that makes perfect sense if you really think about how things are working out. So I find this very, very interesting. The SEC might be completely screwed at this point, and we're just looking to find out the results. And this is going to be just a case just for us to sit back and watch and see what happens, because it's really like it's really anybody's ball game, and this might really help the rest of crypto right now, because like Joe Lubin, Vitalik is probably very upset at Gary Ginsler trying to turn around the Ethereum narrative, and they're not going to let him do it. Gary Ginsler doesn't want all the stuff on the SEC to be exposed because that would hurt him as commissioner as well as hurt the SEC. And the rest of us can just sit back and laugh, because if Ethereum throttles the SEC in this case, then pretty much the SEC is done when it comes to regulating cryptocurrencies, because the courts won't listen to them anymore if they've lost all credibility. So let's sit back and watch the show and see what happens. Now, in other news, Binance is actually going to enable liquid staking on the BSC chain. Liquid staking is a big thing. It allows you to do other things while staking the coin, and is very, very attractive to many holders, especially if you're going to be holding long term. If you want to stake and yield farm, you can do that. The BNB chain core development team said the move aims to streamline the network and improve efficiency. BNB chain said it will enable native liquid staking on its BNB smart chain as part of its shift to migrate the BNB beacon chain functions to BSC, as the former is wound down. So they're going to shut down beacon chain, go to BSC. We all knew that already. In an announcement sent to Cointelegraph, BNB chain noted that BNB beacon chain will completely shut down by June 2024. However, the company said it will transfer its features to BSC before it closes. So get your stuff on BSC. Liquid staking allows you to get double the money with the same amount of coins. So that's obviously a pretty good thing for holders of BNB. So that's very, very interesting. Liquid staking not only rewards BNB stakers, but also enhances security for the BNB chain network. It offers BNB holders increased flexibility in staking their assets and more options for staking BNB. This team explained that when BNB holders stake their tokens in a liquidity pool, they can receive liquidity provider tokens, which they can use in many activities within the ecosystem. According to the development team, liquid staking and maximum extractable value optimization for BNB chain will be rolled out together. So there's a lot of new stuff coming for BNB, and that will obviously boost the price of BNB coin even further. So yes, just because CZ might be under house arrest or might be under probation for a while does not mean that BNB is going to go down. Yes, CZ was the heart of Binance, but realistically, his wife is still kind of running Binance. So even though he's technically not having anything to do with Binance, he definitely is still kind of like controlling things behind the scenes, and there's really not much they can do to actually stop that. at this point. Yes, he had to pay a $50 million personal fine, but he's got plenty of money. Binance had to pay $4.3 billion. They paid it. They're out of the United States now, much to the chagrin of many U.S. users. But Binance is going to keep on expanding, and I do believe BNB will continue to do well. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell notifications button. Thank you, and have a nice day.